So you're running for student council or student body officer at your school. Good for you. You have come to the right place. We're going to talk about how to write a student council speech. And yes, this is going to be something that will help you in so many ways. I'm excited to tell you about it. You know, when I was a kid, I actually ran for a lot of things at my school. In fact, I ran for secretary when I was a sophomore. I ran for vice president of the school when I was a junior, and I ran for student body president as a senior. I was able to win all of those elections, and I believe it came down a lot to the way that I delivered my speeches. Most speeches are not as good as they should be for those running for student council and student body. And so I appreciate you joining me here. Got some cool tips and tricks. This is going to help you so much. Thanks for joining me. Most student council speeches are boring. And whether this is a speech about you running for an elected official position or just giving a great student council speech, I know that this will be helpful for you, and I'm actually leaning more towards, in this video, how this applies to somebody that's running for the position. But this will be helpful in every single regard in terms of you becoming one of the best student speakers out there. So my name is Jason Hewlett. I've been all around the world as a public speaker. And yes, I know that you're probably like, wait a minute, can somebody make a living as a speaker and I don't know them very well, or I haven't heard about them, they're not a celebrity? Yes, it's true. For almost 25 years, I've been running around the world making a living speaking to people. And hey, maybe this is something you're going to want to do too. I have other videos about that on this channel, so you can come back and check that out. But for the fact at hand, student council speech. This is a great opportunity. Don't be like all the other students. Don't be a boring speaker. Don't show up unprepared. Yes, you have every opportunity to get to another level of success because you're a great communicator. I'm excited to teach you some cool ideas today. Number one, I would recommend that you understand the audience and purpose of why you're giving a speech. So first you need to understand your audience, and it's important to know who's out there, right? Their demographics, the reason that you're giving the speech, what they're concerned about, what they want you to talk about. There's all kinds of different ways to construct a speech around these types of needs, but it's a really important piece to know, hey, this is what they are expecting to hear. This is why we're giving this talk. I would emphasize that you highlight the purpose of your speech. Highlight the goals of the student body. Figure out for them what the theme is, and you have to establish that as well. A lot of students don't even think about what the theme would be, and then they don't construct their speech around it. If you're given a topic as to what the theme for next year will be, or for the entirety of your speech, next thing you know, you're speaking directly into the subject. And that's what everybody wants to hear. And so let's say you're running for student council for next year. You can talk about the theme and how you're going to apply it into all that you do. This becomes then your promise. I love to talk about promises because you at this point are making a promise that if they elect you, you're going to have to follow through with the things you've promised. If you've ever noticed, in every country in the world, an elected official is usually known as a promise breaker. What's nice about being in the student council is you get to now be a leader. You get to see what it's like to make a promise and keep it, and the wonderful outcomes because of somebody who does that. That gets you into a whole different level of living life and being a great leader, somebody who keeps promises that they make. And so I'd recommend that you lean into that. Yes, you should talk about the theme of the school. Yes, you should talk about the theme for the next year. But also talk about your personal promise. What is it that you're going to promise to do every single time that they interact with you? What is your promise as a leader in this position? What are some things that you can absolutely deliver on? Because you don't want to promise things you cannot keep or deliver on. So the promises are your non-negotiables. Yes, you can say, hey, we have a goal to do this, or we have 10 goals to do that, but here is my one promise to you. And you get to decide what that is. One of the best ways to relate to your audience is to talk about a shared struggle, especially in a school setting, because think about all the shared struggles. Whether it's the homework assignments, whether it's that one teacher or subject, whether it's the fact that they've changed the mascot 12 times in the last year, whether it's the cafeteria food. You know, you don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but you can also poke fun at certain things. It's important to be able to let them know, hey, we all share this experience. And if something tragic or an emergency has ever happened, it's good to lean into that as well, to say, we've all been through this hard thing together, and this is why we need to keep the promise to stay together. This is what I'm going to do. That will bring the hearts of the people into your speech and into what you're going to deliver. Let's talk about crafting a captivating opening to your speech. You really want to capture their attention and gain credibility right from the get-go. And so if you're somebody that nobody's ever really seen, and then all of a sudden you're running for student council, this might be a little bit tricky. And so what you need to do is establish for them that you have a lot to share with them, that you're somebody who's coming from a place of not perhaps being at every single game and being at every single activity, but that you have goals, visions, and ideas for the way that you're going to share this with the school. That could either be showing a video, that could be utilizing some cool slides. That could even be doing some kind of cheer or something with the entire audience. Maybe it's performing one of your talents. I can tell you this though, if you're coming out of left field and they haven't seen you at a lot of activities, it is going to be a long road for you to try to win this election. And so what I'd recommend is if you are on the younger age of somebody who's running, I would recommend you start campaigning early. You go to activities, you record that you're there, you cheer everybody on. You're friends with everyone in the hallways. You're the encourager at the school. These are some of the techniques that I used that helped me be able to be elected every single year over and over again. I just showed up for a lot of things, and people knew that I was encouraging to them and I was friends with everybody. And so you have a lot of work to do in the past. If you're showing up here watching this video thinking, I just need to write a speech, I've never been nice to anybody. Well, I'm not a miracle worker, but I can tell you, write a good speech, make them laugh. Maybe they can see that you are the right leader for that position. I have seen it work in one case. It was a fellow who actually wasn't at every activity. He was not at everything. He was very busy doing his homework, and he was a great student, but he wasn't a vocal leader. However, what he did was really ingenious. He was an illustrator. He was an artist. So what did he do? He spent an entire summer putting together his art into like a flip book. And so it became an animation. And that was his speech. He stood up in front of everyone and said, for the last summer, I've been working on this speech to present this as my campaign speech. And it was a whole thing through the journey of a student at the school. It was unbelievable. We had no idea he had that talent. That was his signature move. He was a great artist, and he won the election. He really hadn't been to very many activities, but he became a great president because he worked very hard on that one thing that he knew he could deliver, which was art. And he shared it with us as his speech. There are unique ways for you to make this work. I would say also with crafting a creative opener, it's a lot about coming up with something that everybody can relate to in a sense. So for example, when I ran for student body president, when I was a junior going into my senior year, what I did was I created a top 10 list of things that I was going to fix at the school. Not necessarily like the rain gutters and things, but we're going to have better dances and this is what we're going to do. Or we were going to have better meals and this is how we're going to make that happen. We were going to do service projects and this is why it would be fun. A top 10 list, and everybody was laughing because I made it fun. If you make them laugh, you will have a greater chance at winning. Now it's time to develop compelling content. I would say that you want to share your passion and your reason for running. To establish your vision for the role, this is a really nice place to go into because nobody can really understand what you're trying to do until you articulate it for them. So giving them a vision of what you want to create for the school, this is going to be such an exciting thing because they have no idea what you want to bring to the school. And so establish for them some of the promises you're going to deliver. I would also make sure that you outline your speech. You want to have a beginning, you want to have a middle, you want to have an end. If you can engage the audience in some way, whether it's like, hey, raise your hand if, and then you ask a question, or everybody get up and dance, then those are some fun things that you can do that make it quite unique. Because most people are going to stand up, and I promise you this is going to happen. They're going to stand up and they're going to give their speech like this, and they're going to read it word for word, and they're never going to look up. You already have that on them, that you can deliver a speech without notes perhaps, without looking down and reading, but that you're talking to the audience. That's a big deal. Developing compelling content is really an exciting thing if you have a theme already in mind for yourself. So for example, my son, Redford, He just ran for student body officer and the actual president of the whole school. It's the largest school in my state of Utah. And he had already been the vice president of the junior class. So he had a bit of a jump to get to being the student body president of the entire school. However, he created compelling content, which was amazing. Here's what he did. He put together videos of himself at different events throughout the year. He then put together other videos that he could cultivate into one cool 1-minute video, because at his school they don't allow speakers to give a speech. And so in that sense, he put together a great video that made everybody laugh, it made him think, it made him realize his vision for the school. And his vision is truly to be supportive, to be somebody that's going to always be at everything. And he won that election. I'm so proud of him. I know that you can do the same. Whether it's cultivating videos through the year of, getting ready to put something great together. Maybe it's drawing, like I told you in that other example of my friend, or it's creating that great speech where you can share all of your ideas for this great school year. What I love about what Redford did is he leaned into his signature moves. He's known as being a funny guy. He's known as being a good video maker. And so what he did is he leaned into that. He wasn't trying to be somebody he's not. And I want you to remember for yourself while you run for student council and for student body officers, yes, you are unique. You have something about you that makes you awesome. You need to lean into that. If you're a singer, you should sing in your speech. If you can play the kazoo with your nose, do it. If you're good at riding horses, show a video of you riding a horse. I'm just telling you, lean into your signature moves. If you're not quite sure what yours are and you want to discover them, I've created something very cool that you've probably never gone through before, and it's really awesome. Go to jasonhewlett.com and then do a / with ICM. The ICM process will change the way that you see yourself and as the leader that you are. Your signature moves matter, and I'm going to take you through a process called the ICM process. You're going to identify that which makes you unique and then clarify with other people what makes you awesome. Now you can magnify your promise with the world. As my son Redford has gone through this process himself, he's identified that he's a great video maker, that he's funny, that he's able to put cool music in and make it really great. When he's also had opportunities to speak, he shares his comedy. He's just so funny. He also has a way about him with words and with being authentic. He's also willing to be vulnerable. He talks about breaking his leg in a really hard way and other things that people go, oh wow, we appreciate his authenticity. But that's a part of having a signature move and sharing it with the world. So your signature moves matter. I hope you'll go to jasonhewlett.com / ICM and check it out. It'll help your speech and it'll help you as a person overall.